Okay, so I've started recording as well. Raviul, you've got a question.
Sir, while I was submitting, my electricity gone, you can see. Can you please just ensure me my quiz script is submitted or not?
I cannot do that now because the submission link has already been disabled. I cannot just go to that now. It will something that I'll have to double check. So this is something I have to just double check later. All right, so let's not worry about that anymore. I want to just move on to the topic. Maybe towards the end, we'll talk about that. Okay, so distribution channel management or distribution. These are the two alternative terminologies we may use. So, there's lots of different, if we consider Philip Kotler's, 4 Ps, so this will be the place, or we can also talk about channel, sub-distribution, channel management, distribution, everything. So this is fundamentally entails the understanding that how a product will actually reach to the consumer's hand from the producer. So we'll start with a simple definition. A channel of distribution comprises a set of institutions which perform all of the activities utilized to move a product and its title from production to consumption. So from production to consumption, how the product is being transferred into consumer's hand. That is what channels of distribution is, because we all know that the products that today we're using, it's actually manufactured elsewhere, maybe in entirely different parts of the world. The computers that we're using, the phones that we're using, maybe the dress that you're wearing, maybe the all the other products that we are using day by day or a daily basis, and they're all manufactured at different locations. So in this part, we will just go through all of these factors that are important to understand, that which of these factors should be considered in order to decide what is the right channel, and then also how the channel decisions are being made. But we know that the world has been moving so fast, and the concept of channel of distribution is also expanding. How many of you have come across this example, big e-commerce brands like Amazon and big retailers? They're now thinking to just remove many intermediaries and try to find more efficient ways to dispatch their product from their warehouses or from their manufacturing plants, even to directly to the consumers by using drones. And this is not any more a plan. This is actually reality. There are many brands, they're already using that. So it's a simple thing. As you can see in this diagram, it's a bit smaller. Maybe I'll just try to make it a bit bigger. So the simple concept is you just input the address of the consumer, and the drone is programmed like that. So in the drone, you program it, you just have the drone, the capacity to carry the product. It should be that, there's different size of the drones, depending on the quality of the product, depending on the size or weight of the product, you have to select and then simply use that. And this is already happening. So since where it started, the distribution channel and things like that, it has evolved. It has evolved now, and we can see the very contemporary ways of sending products from manufacturer to consumer's end. But essentially, our today's discussion will involve, what are the channel members and how can they add value, and what are those activities that channel members perform. Yeah, I'm back. So we'll be talking about all of those different activities and considering factors. But essentially, I guess the concept is clear to us that what is a channel of distribution? It's simply all the intermediaries, all right? We will use the term intermediaries, all the intermediaries involved into the process where a product is transferred from manufacturer to the end user or the consumer. That is what a channel of distribution is. And in between, there will be a manufacturer, there will be a supplier, there might be retailer, and ultimately it will be consumers. So there's lots of different parties involved into this process. But the decision to select the channel of distribution or how many layers there will be, these are not easy decisions. There are multiple factors involved in it. So in this part of our course, we're going to go through all of these. So let's just quickly go through. We've got 42 slides. I'll try to make it as succinct and as targeted as possible so that we don't spend lots of time talking, but also doing some work as well. So these are some activities performed by the channel members, all right? So channel members, they're not only selling your product, they also do many other activities. And that will involve marketing, packaging, financing, storage, delivery, merchandising, and personal selling. So these are the various activities that will be undertaken or roles played by your channel members, okay? So we'll go through each of these and we'll discuss these as well. So maybe just, again, go back to this one a little bit. So you might be wondering, why packaging will be one of the channel members' responsibility? Shouldn't it be the manufacturer? And yes, it is the manufacturer's responsibility to do the packaging, but sometimes the intermediaries, they also get involved into packaging. Maybe when they're selling in bulk amount of the same product. So when they price it together, maybe they will just package all the products together. So there are different functions, as you can see. Financing, they can even finance the product exactly from the manufacturer till it reaches to consumers, and your intermediaries can also do the financial part as well. Then comes storage, delivery, merchandising, personal selling. These are straightforward, but these are all the various functions that your channel intermediaries will perform. Now, channel functions. Okay, so what are the channel functions? Information, promotion, contact, matching, negotiation, physical distribution, financing, risk-taking. Again, this is a laundry list of many things, and the following slide has got a bit more detail into each of these, so it's worthwhile just going each of these a little bit. So your channels, they provide marketing information, right? Like companies rely on market research to determine their target markets, needs and wants. A small business producing handmade greeting cards and things like that. So sometimes your distributors or retailers, they provide some marketing information about your product, right? So when you go to a store and you buy a certain product, they can provide some additional marketing information about the product or the brand. You go to Agora, let's say you go to Agora and you do shopping. There are lots of different types of products, different types of brands, and there could be a particular brand. Let's say, maybe think about rice. There are different brands of rice, maybe Pran, maybe Ruchi, or there's so many things, so many brands. So maybe people in Agora can sell or provide you additional information that প্রাণের চালটা হচ্ছে সবচেয়ে ভালো, they're মানে জমি থেকে সরাসরি তুলে নিয়ে এসে কৃষকরা একদম ফ্রেশ সবচেয়ে ভালো, the most organic and things like that. So they can sell, they can provide those marketing information. So your intermediaries actually in a way are using as your advertising agent. Similarly, promoting products, retailers often take a large portion of promotional responsibilities. Same example, local supermarkets, discount stores, so they can do promotions on your behalf. And that could be a great source of sale as well, marketing as well, because then you don't have to worry much about that. Imagine all the manufacturer of all the products. You just send it to the distributor, and you put the product into the distributor's shelf, and the rest is, you don't have to worry about that, because they're doing marketing, because they need to sell more, and to sell more they will also advertise about your product as well, because they will get a commission after selling your product. So they will be act as your promotional agent as well. Then comes other, they can become like a source of contact as well, because if consumers have any problem about your product or any feedback, they could be your, the intermediaries could be the contact. They could be matching. Matching means, well, in the case that where your product needs additional support from the manufacturer, then they could be the matching. Let's say, you buy some maybe household products, right? Let's say you're buying a TV from a retailer. Okay, so you buy a TV, and then after maybe 2 months the TV broke down, there's some problem in your TV. Then what happens? The retailer will then connect you with the brand, maybe it's a Sony brand TV. So retailer will also connect you with the Sony. Will be bhai apni jan Sony headquarter, I will pass your query to the headquarter of Sony, and they will look after the warranty and everything, because I'm just the retailer. Right? So sometimes they can just work as the matching agent, negotiating with the customers. And different prices are paid by wholesaler, retailer, consumer based on different factors, right? So they could also negotiate with the consumers as well. Sometimes
So due to network problem, I could not listen anything. Can you again explain the first 2 points again? Contact and matching.
Yeah, sure. So contact is your intermediaries or your channel members. They will act as your contact for the consumers. So, and they will also match the consumer with you as well. For example, if you need additional information about a particular product in a superstore, where would you ask? You will ask the store, right? The retailer, that I need to know more about this product and its specification and warranties and things like that. Then the retailer will simply tell you the contact detail. This is the website of the brand, this is the helpline, this is the process, this is what you do. Again, you need some warranty or guarantee issues, things like that. They will be matching with or connecting with the manufacturer, with the consumer. Tomai, do you have any question?
Yes.
Okay, maybe I can't hear you. If you have question, I'm not sure. Maybe better to mute your microphone. All right, I'll mute you there. Sorry, I wasn't clear if that's a question. If you've got a question, can you please write it in the chat screen? Okay. Negotiating with consumers as well. Sometimes, your brands, your retailers or your wholesalers, they'll also negotiate with the consumers as well, because when they will find there's a better deal, if your product has got a better deal, they will also do the negotiation, because they know they will get better commission from your product. So your wholesaler or retailer will also do or negotiate with the consumers as well. Physical distribution, definitely they are doing all the physical distribution and everything. Then comes like financing and risk taking as well. Sometimes they will also take the risk as well, like for your product, they're the risk taker. Like maybe you have a large volume of product and you do not have the capacity as a manufacturer to have your warehouse. Where would you put your product? You don't have massive warehouse, but your distributors, maybe they have massive warehouse, so they can finance or they can help you. They can even take the risk of your product as well. Like you don't have transportation network. Maybe the distributor, they already have vast network. So same example, maybe Agora. Okay, so Agora, what they do, maybe the farm produce. Okay, so all the farm produce, like the fish or the vegetables and everything, these are all like you get that from the village. Now imagine the villagers, maybe it's expensive for them to send all of these to Agora. So Agora can have their own truck. They have their own truck. They can collect everything, go to the villages or to the farmers, and they can simply collect. So they are taking the risk of because on the way to Dhaka, if something happens, the risk is on their shoulder, right? We imagine there's an accident and all of maybe they're bringing eggs or fish or something, and it's all damaged. Who's to take the risk? I mean, they can take the risk. So your channel members can also take risk as well. That's also another factor or another function. Let's just go through the key channel tasks. So we've already had like a brief, outline on the top, before, but these are some key tasks. So providing marketing information, promotional products, negotiating with the consumers, reducing discrepancies if there's any, financing, and risk-taking. So these are some of the key channel tasks. We've already talked about this one, so I'm not going to go through them again. What I'm going to go through is task of the intermediaries classified by different parties. All right, so let's look at the task of the intermediaries when it comes to wholesalers. So if you have wholesalers, so what the wholesalers can do for you. So we're talking about different segments now. First, we talked about very broadly. Now we're just talking about specific wholesalers, specific intermediaries. So break down bulk. All right. So this means you have get your product in bulk capacity. All of your product, you can just get into a very bulk amount, and the wholesalers have the capacity to get things into bulk, volume. Because if you don't have wholesalers, the retailers, they don't have capacity to get the product in a big volume. But when the wholesalers, as you can see in this image, when they buy the product, they break it down into very bulk capacity, all the products. So it's an important factor, because as a manufacturer, you want to sell as much as you can. You just don't want to keep your things into your warehouse. As soon as you can get things out of the production facility, you'll be relieved that, okay, all right, another lot is gone. And who helps you into that? Your wholesalers will help you into that, because the wholesalers, they can buy things in bulk, buys from producers and sell small quantities to retailers. So wholesalers, they'll buy from all the producers and they'll sell in very small quantities to retailers. Provide storage facilities. As I said, big wholesalers, they actually have storage facility. স্পেশালি ইন বাংলাদেশে চালের যে আড়তগুলো আছে, তাই না? চালের যে আড়ত, big rice storage, like they sell rice in big volume. So they have actually big, যেগুলোকে বলা হয় চালের আড়ত. They can store a big volume of rice. So they buy from all of the farmers and they will, stockpile a large volume of product into their warehouse. So reduces contact cost between producer and the consumers. So simply, this will help you to reduce your cost from the producer to the consumers, because they are the one who can control the price, which in some ways it could be dangerous as well, because they will have more control if they have more stockpiling facility, and they can control, they can manipulate, they can temper the price, and that could be even risky as well. Wholesaler takes some of the marketing responsibility, sales force and promotions, because obviously wholesalers, they also want to get the product out of their warehouse as quickly as they can, because they can't afford to have it for a long time. Okay. Retailers. Let's talk about the task of retailer. What are the retailers? So retailers also play a big role, okay? So retailers, they have a role, and retailers are the small businesses that are more close to your consumers, that are more have the close connection with your consumers. So much stronger personal relationship with the consumers, because retailers, the advantage is that retailers, they have better personal relationship with the consumers, right? Because retailers, they're more close by. Imagine the store nearby. বাসার নিচের যে দোকানটা, সেই দোকান থেকে when you buy something from the store just downstairs from where you live, I mean, they could become the connection. They can build a strong connection with the brand and the consumer, because they create an impression. Because whenever you go, you want to buy something, they give you opinion. They're like opinion leader. They give you opinion. They say, oh no, eta neন, ei chalta bhalo, ba ei ডিমটা ভালো, বা এই this milk is better, milk vita milk is better compared to Aron. But all of these things, right? I mean, they have more control. So they can build that personal relationship, hold a variety of products. They have a wide variety of products into their store, offer consumers credit. Imagine all the stores in Bangladesh, বিশেষ করে মুদির দোকান যেগুলো, grocery store, you get to buy things in credit. বাসার আশেপাশের লোকজন mostly they buy in credit, right? And you can buy in credit, and this is such a great facility, because when you're buying product of praner chal kincho, or praner, you are buying praner product and everything. It's the credit facility. Pran is not giving you that credit facility. It's the retailer they're giving you. And that is such a great facility. Promote and merchandise products, that's general. Price the final product. Yes, this is one important factor, because they price the final product. Sometimes, again, they can temper the price as well, because they have the final control. সেল করার আগে ধাম করে প্রাইস বলে দিল যে না, এই চালের দাম হঠাৎ করে বেড়ে গেছে. Actually, it's not. So that's another aspect as well they have to keep in mind, because they have the final push button before they release the product into the consumer's hand. So that's something you have to keep in mind as well. Build retailer brand in the high street. Okay, so this means the retailer brand, a good retailer, when they create that brand identity, whatever they sell, that also becomes an identity as well. Okay, So when Agora and Bangladesh আর কি আছে, Prince Bazaar and Shopno and এগুলা, right? So when Agora has created a big brand reputation in Bangladesh, যে না, Agora product is the best quality. Whatever you buy from Agora, that means this is best. So actually, it's actually not only Agora's brand that is getting that limelight or that thing. Whatever brand they're selling, those are also being endorsed as, yes, these are high quality brand as well as compared to any other brands. So that's also another thing we need to keep in mind as well. Task of intermediaries, internet. All right, so we know that internet also these days has become a channel of distribution. That means our product and services are also distributed or delivered through internet. So sell to geographically dispersed market, okay? So when you have product, you can actually sell your product to geographically dispersed market because you are at your will to sell your product to anywhere, right? I mean, anywhere you can sell your product. So I think one of the midterm question was that what for an e-commerce brand, which type of segmentation strategy would you adopt? Now, some of you mentioned that we will select a geographic segmentation strategy, and I have argument against that because why would you choose a geographic segment strategy? Because the segmentation for e-commerce is that you're trying to eliminate the geographic barriers of the consumers. So the geographic aspect you are not going to consider because that's the aim. Like, you know, from one area to another area, you don't want to segment consumers based on that, but more so on the basis of what they want rather than their geographic location. So internet allows all the manufacturer to sell their product to dispersed market. Imagine big, like, you know, distributors like eBay. Even if you're a like retailer or even if you're a manufacturer in Bangladesh, maybe you are just creating, I knew a lady, she is just like, you know, creating some handy pots sitting in a remote village in Bangladesh, but she can actually sell the product through eBay to a massive world. Like, and that's possible. Like, you know, even people sitting at the remotest part of the world, with the advent of internet, they're able to sell their product to a massive audience. And they can also target and focus on specific market segment as well. And relatively low setup cost. Some brands or internet, they're allowing you to distribute your product, like Daraj. Like, you know, Daraj, why Daraj is like, you know, is popular. Or Alibaba, the model of Alibaba was that they're actually a marketplace. They're not only an e-commerce which is selling, like, you know, you can create your own store. You can create your own store and you can actually sell your product through them. So it's B2B marketing as well, B2C and B2B and everything. Use of e-commerce technology, payment, shopping, software, paradigm shift in commerce and consumption. Okay, is it making sense? Am I saying shobai chupchap? I don't know. Are you guys understanding what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
কারো বুঝতে কোনো সমস্যা হচ্ছে? Anyone having difficulty?
sir.
Can you relate what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's good. All right, moving on. Channel management decision. Okay, so channel management decision is not something done in isolation or in a vacuum, right? Like, your channel strategy is aligned with your product strategy. Your channel strategy is aligned with your pricing strategy. Your channel strategy is aligned with your promotional strategy. So it's all intertwined, it's interlinked. You cannot do things in isolation that, well, I will just randomly choose one channel of distribution strategy. No, it does not work like that. With your product, with your price, with your promotion, everything, your channel strategy needs to be considered as well. So think about your channel strategy, like, what is your channel strategy and what are these strategies? So we'll try to cover some of these, discussion now. Distribution channel management decision about a product's physical movement and transfer of ownership from producer to consumer. So first you set your channel objectives, all right? So first of all, you have to set up your channel's objective. What is your objective? Which will involve that determine what the company is trying to achieve, okay? What exactly is the company's mission? What exactly it's trying to achieve? That's something that you have to consider. Then comes determine what the company meet the needs and wants of their target market. What your target market is expecting. That's also another factor. Consider that. Give their product a competitive edge. So these are some factors you need to keep in mind. Second comes your channel members. So in your channel members, there's lots of things, again, selection, management, motivation, and evaluation. It's a sequential and step-by-step process. It's not as simple that just go for selecting a channel and then say, well, this is our channel strategy. It's not like that, but rather there's lots of factors that are involved. So we're trying to just unpack as much as we can from our discussion. So in terms of selecting the channel members, few things needs to be done. I'm not going to go through all of these lists. I mean, some slides, they have like lots of discussions. So just to respect time, we'll try to just be as reasonable as possible. So determine the types of your members that belong in the channel, as well as the channel length. So what would be the channel length? This is something you have to consider. Now, in the book, if Philip Kotler book, if you have seen that there are different models of given, what will be your length of the channel, and depending on your nature of your channel, whether depending on the nature of your product, this might vary as well. So this is something you have to keep in mind. That 0 level, 1 level. Actually, do I have the slide here somewhere? Let me check. Sorry. Yeah, length of the channel, right? So this is the one that I was talking about. So 1 level, that also exists from manufacturer to consumers. Like that's at least, actually that's 2 level, because at least it's coming from the manufacturer to consumers. Then 3 levels from manufacturer to retailer to consumers, then manufacturer to wholesaler to retailer to consumers. It could even be manufacturer to agent to wholesaler to retailer to consumers. There could be multiple levels here, more than 5 levels that also exist as well. So you have to consider the length of your distribution channel. That what is the length of your distribution channel? So that's something you need to consider when you're selecting. Now, this again relates back with your nature of the product, right? Like if you are producing something which is like vegetable, you're a farmer. Now, you don't want to select 5 levels, right? Maybe you just want to do 2 levels, like from manufacturer, just want to go to consumers. So depending on the nature of your product, you have to determine that what will be the channel length, how many intermediaries that will potentially be involved into this one. And there's lots of factors. Again, I'm not going through each of these. Simple questions involves determining the characteristics that distinguish better ones by evaluating channel members as well. So when you have channels like evaluate, which channel members, evaluate means just assess which one is better compared to the other ones. So all of these things, because when you have a basic product, like something that is not that reputable or something that's not valuable, I mean, you can ignore that. But when you are a very established brand and you have great product, you cannot simply sell the product through any intermediary, because that will damage your reputation, right? Like very high value product or high cost product, imagine when it comes to selling expensive product, maybe Rolex watch. Imagine Rolex is an expensive watch, right? Very expensive watch. Now, Rolex would not actually sell their product through a retailer, a simple retailer that is just simply selling watch in a supermarket or in a market or shopping center. Rolex would find some exclusive dealers or exclusive retailers that would sell Rolex. So things like that your reputation. So you have to evaluate those. So lots of things. How many lines carried means how many product line that they're carrying, their profit record, their policies, the experience and track record, all of these things you have to take into consideration. Okay, more things continuing. Number and character of other lines carried, size and quality of the sales force, all of these things. These are also something needs to be considered as well. Then comes a few other things, market segment, customer, store location, growth potential, because these are also important. Like you just don't want to select any retailer who do not have any potential or reputation, or not enough consumers will come. So depending on whatever you for selecting channel members, a lot of these things needs to be thoroughly discussed. Next comes managing channel members, because once you select channel members, probably that's the step one. But step two is actually maintaining that long-term relationship, which is even more important. Because what will be their responsibility? To what extent they're responsible to undertake their responsibility? Are they capable enough to undertake their responsibility or not? Whether they're going to do it efficiently or not? So these are all factors. And sometimes, as I say, the retailers or your intermediaries, they can actually damage the reputation of your entire brand. They can elevate the reputation of your brand, and they can also damage the reputation of your brand as well. So it's something that you need to very carefully manage, and over a long period of time you have to manage that. Partner channel members, managing channel members, you'll see that mobile phones, Bangladesh, the telecom sector, all the mobile phones Grameenphone or Robi, and they know that they have intermediaries, like their retailers, their wholesalers and everything, their distributors. They have distributors. I've worked in Banglalink for 5 years in Bangladesh, long time ago. So we used to have distributors and retailers. So retailers, we used to give lots of incentives, grahak kotha, তারপরে বিভিন্ন ধরনের incentive দিয়ে we used to give them lots of gifts and everything, partnership benefit. So all of these things that really matters. I mean, these are really very, very useful stuff. Motivating channel members. My God, you also have to motivate them as well, right? Manage, if you do not motivate them, why they would bother to sell your product when there's so many different choices. Imagine that a retailer who is selling SIM card in Bangladesh. So they have Robi, they have Grameenphone, they have Banglalink, they have Teletalk, they have aro ki ki ache ekhon, I don't know. So many choices. So why are they going to sell or push your SIM card first to consumers and not the others? What is their motivation, right? Because they have 4 or 5 different choices. And when a consumer comes to buy a SIM card, where are they going to push your SIM card first in front of the consumer and not the other one? That's a valid question. And simple answer is they need to have sufficient motivation so that they will always put your brand on the top. So you build that cooperative relationship with them and you understand their needs, like what they need. Like obviously they need money, but profitability and everything, understand their need, establish some targets as well, expectations, what's the expectation between the parties that needs to be considered, and some regular, like, nurturing relationship, like how do you nurture the relationship? That's also very important. So this is something really important. Do you have a number 4? Yeah, evaluating channel members. So evaluating is like, time to time, you need to evaluate performance, because are they hitting the mark, the sales target that you have to take your product to the profitability stage? So delivery time, inventory details, treatment of damage and lost products and everything. So all of these things you have to regularly check, because again, as I say, like, it's a long term. A business, you just don't do a business for 1 year, 2 year, 5 year. You do it for 50 years, 100 years. That's what the aim is. In order to do that, the retailers or the intermediaries, they're the one playing big role. So if they're not performing their duties properly, then there's problems. You need to evaluate that time to time. And after some time, you might just evaluate that, no, some of our retailers in this area, they're not doing well. So maybe we'll just withdraw, or maybe we'll just change to a different model. Maybe this model isn't working that great. So think about that. So this is something you need to consider. Yeah, risk and dangers, all of these factors. These also needs to be considered. Okay, সবাই কি ঘুমিয়ে গেল নাকি? Is everyone asleep?
Sorry to break
Okay.
Okay,
It is
all right.
already-
Okay, so before moving on to the next bit, which is some major consideration of channel distribution, let's have a 10 minutes break then. Okay, so let's take a 10 minutes break. After that, we will just go through the remaining part of our slide. So now we'll go to some other factors, like, channel consideration. So again, some other considering factors. We'll just go through these. So let us get that break for 10 minutes. So the time is now like 8:08. So maybe we'll try to get back by 20:08. Okay, so let's do that. I'll turn my camera and audio off. Don't leave the line, just stay online. Just turn your camera and audio off while we are on the break. I'll pause the recording as well.
Attendance.
Yes, I will mark you as present. And as a very good boy, you are going to take your mother to doctor's appointment. You should get a double attendance.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so we're back now. Let's carry on. We'll try to wrap it up as quickly as possible. So, major consideration, okay? Multiple channels or single channel. Then control versus cost. Which one of these things is important? That's also another factor. Intensity of distribution desired. Sorry. A noise A naughty intruder is just like playing football. My cat. Sorry. Okay. So these are a few things that we're going to go through now. So multiple channels, right? Some manufacturers, they can select, they meet the needs of both industrial and consumer markets. Okay, so depending on what exactly you're selling to your consumers, you can think of selecting multiple channels. Okay, or the decision could be even single channels. I'm using Autobi, like, Bangladeshi brand, so you can relate. They have like all sorts of different, like, you can find them in supermarkets, not in movie theaters, but in, like, in different places you'll find, because they appeal to a large volume of buyers, industrial buyers, small businesses, end users, all sorts of. So depending on what your product is, you can think about multiple channels of distribution, all right? There could be multiple intermediaries you can think of. So you have to decide, or depending on your product, that will tell you that you're going to go through multiple channels or just single channel. So think about that. That's a factor that you need to decide. Management's desire for control of distribution, all right? Some manufacturers, they do not trust others and they want to have more control on the distribution process, okay? Because the shorter the channel, the higher the degree of control, vice versa. So, I'm using the example of big brands like Apple and Microsoft. They don't actually, okay, I have to just mute a few people. So please maintain that courtesy that whenever you're going inside the class, just maintain the courtesy to turn your microphone off. So brands like, Apple, Microsoft, while they can actually sell their product through their retailers, I mean, these are not direct retailers of them, but they may mostly, especially in the developed countries, they have their own store. So they don't sell through many other retailers, maybe some retailers, major or reputable retailers, but in most instances, they actually have their own store because that gives them more control. Because when they're selling within their store, so in that case, it is more efficient for them because they can ensure quality. They don't have to think about the quality of their distribution, because the lower the intensity of distribution, the higher the degree of control. So it's a very important thing that they have more control, because if you cannot control the quality, you might be in trouble, because consumers will have a negative impression about your brand or the product. So it's really important that how much control do you have. So it's a balance. You have to make that balance, the right balance. Dimensions of your channel design. Okay, so your channel design has got few different dimensions as well. And again, within that, there's 3 other points. And that is the length of your channel. So length of the channel, we've already discussed. You know what are the different length of your channel. Okay, so which one of these would be the right fit depending on your product. That is something you need to consider. But some other factors that, like your structure, whether your channel structure, like the distribution tasks that need to be performed, the economics of performing distribution tasks, management's desire for control of distribution, transaction efficiency. So these are some other factors. Like I had to just cover, like, put all of these into slide, but essentially I don't need to go through all of the slides because that's time consuming. Some of these you have to read on your own. So I'm going to go through the, this is a group discussion, so we'll probably see if we can get some time towards the end. I want to talk about distribution intensity. this is a good thing that you need to consider. Like how widely a product will be distributed. So the intensity of your product, that's really important. What is that? I'll give you specific examples. So to achieve ideal market exposure, you need to understand the distribution intensity, how intense your distribution is, because your distribution intensity could be of various nature: exclusive, selective, intensive, and integrated. Let's go through each of these one by one. All right. Now, in general, as you can see, this is like the structure. This is the continuum. It starts from very intensive to exclusive, and in between there could be some selective. So what is that? First of all, intensive distribution. So intensive, as the word suggests, that means use as many retailers or outlets as possible. The objective is to complete market coverage, and the ultimate goal is to sell to as many consumers as possible, wherever they choose to shop. Okay. So as you can see in this image, like, products, like, the everyday to-day household products, like grocery items or, daily consumer goods, they want to have intensive distribution. Send it through as many. পানের দোকান থেকে শুরু করে supermarket, everywhere. You go to buy রাঁধুনি গুঁড়া মশলা, you will find in Agora store. You want to get it in the, like, paner dokan, in the roadside, like, mudir dokan, everywhere you will get, like, products like that. You want to buy Coke, a bottle of Coke, or, any soft drinks, you will find it everywhere. So consumer goods, typically, they try to make their distribution as intensive as possible. Keep in mind, we're talking about the intensity of the distribution. So they want to sell to as many retailers as possible, because the aim is to reach out to maximum number of consumers, because this is a consumer good. Everyone will need it regardless. Now, in some cases, you don't want your product to go to wide consumers, like, not all of them, because you know that your product is not for everyone. Okay. So a limited number of outlets in a given geographical area are used to sell the product. So I'm using the store, like, Gucci, probably not relevant for Bangladesh example, but in terms of Bangladesh, যদি আমরা example, if we consider, maybe we can think about brands like, I don't know, maybe Bata, Apex shoes. This is something that they have some selective distributors. You don't get to buy Bata from, like, every jutar dokane. They don't sell every.
So you people, you don't like dinner.
Okay. Again, courtesy. Have the courtesy to turn your microphones off, please, everyone. Again. So some brands, they use selective because, they know that their product will have a limited appeal to a limited group of, so they have a specific target. So the ones that are specific, you're targeting specific consumer group, you try to have selective distribution into those areas. All right. So maybe for some shopping goods, when you have some shopping goods, you can think about that. Like, maybe Bangladesh, there are lots of fashion brands, like many fashion brands, and they might think like, ecstasy or things like that. They have selective distribution. You don't get to buy those brands in every shopping mall. You don't get to buy them in Newmarket or, in every, but maybe in selective areas where they know that the consumer intensity is good and they will sell, because they know that ecstasy product, not everyone will buy ecstasy because it's a bit high end compared to other brands. Exclusive distribution. So exclusive is next level from selective. So This is typically happens in a franchisor situation, that you exclusively give the right of your product to a very simple, very, very limited, in fact, almost exclusive. Sometimes you will hear in advertisement that some product will say that we're the exclusive retailers or exclusive distributors, because they don't have any other distributor. They are the exclusive ones. And typically expensive products or products that are highly technical in nature, where there's some important, it's really important to go through the quality of the product, or lots of other technical aspect of the product. In those cases, exclusive distribution, a very luxurious product, diamond, maybe diamond jewelry, or maybe a very expensive brand, Mercedes car. You don't get to buy Mercedes. Maybe you will buy Toyota car in every store, but Mercedes, they have exclusive franchise. You only go to Tejga, or in those areas, you'll find like a one store, only they're selling Mercedes brands, and you don't even get to buy Mercedes in other areas or in other cities, because that's exclusive. Okay, so this is called exclusive distribution. Again, depending on your product. What is your product? You select which one is the right distribution intensity you should be choosing. Am I making any sense to anyone?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
good. That's good. Integrated distribution. So integrated distribution means manufacturer acts as wholesaler and retailer for its own product. Some of the manufacturers, fashion brands like Gap, like Apple, the manufacturer, they work as wholesaler and retailer as well for its own products. So they have integrated the wholesaling and distribution as well. Like sometimes they can sell in large volume to others, or they can also sell in small volumes to end users as well. So that's also another example. I mean, in many countries, especially in Australia, there's a shopping center called direct factory outlet. We call it DFO. So direct factory outlets are all the big brands. They have their own outlets, and this is directly coming from the factory. So the prices are actually more competitive in that. So we generally go to these direct factory outlets when we want to buy branded, shoes or branded product, because we know that this is coming directly from the manufacturer, and the prices are typically a bit lower compared to the other retailers. Dual distribution. So a manufacturer may sell its product through multiple outlets at the same time. So toll-free phone system, company websites, multiple retailers as well. Involvement in e-commerce is also another factor that is a consideration of a brand. Are you involved with e-commerce? Is your product worthwhile to be involved into the e-commerce? So is your product something that could be involved into e-commerce? And depending on that, there's some factors that needs to be considered. Means by which products are sold to consumers and industrial buyers through the internet. So if your consumers are buying your product online, that is also another factor. Okay, so maybe if consumers are buying products from online, that's a great source. So let's just utilize that. Let's just leverage that. Industrial buyers, or things like that. So these are factors needs to be considered, that whether you are getting involved into the the internet space or not. So consider that as one important element. Use of technology in distribution. These days we see there's a massive uptake of technology into the distribution process. that involves economies of scale, that involves warehousing system, that includes the supply chain management, the inventory management system. These are all becoming also popular these days. Some businesses have capacity to distribute most of all of their products through the internet, especially in e-commerce. This is the advantage of selling through e-commerce, that you have your inventory. If you have the numbers and everything like in an organized manner, how many products you're selling through e-commerce, you can easily calculate the numbers. So there's a specific track record of your sales, because consumers are all buying through your website or any other e-commerce store. So then it's going to be easy for you to manage the inventory. So using technology is a great enabler these days that will help brands to upgrade or increase their sales volume, but at the same time it will also help you to monitor your inventory management system as well. You can track the package as well. So if your product is being sold online, it could be easily tracked as well. They'll give you a tracking number and you can easily track the package, where it is now. It's very easy. And this is the reason products or brands like eBay, Amazon, these are very popular, because as soon as you buy, you get a tracking number, and that tracking number you can easily track, where my product is, whether it's shipped, whether it has been sent, whether it's on the dispatch, what's the current situation, what's the delay, and everything. There are problems as well. The cost of technology is there, changing nature of the technology, equipments, and things like that. Now, we need to do a quick brainstorming. We will not miss the opportunity to do a bit of brainstorming, and this one is the brainstorming topic. So we want to discuss the relationship between the product being distributed and the pattern of distribution it uses. So we have different types of good, okay? Consumer good, yeah, I'll just delete. I don't know why I had this one. Sorry. Yeah. So imagine we have different types of goods, right? And let's talk about the pattern of distribution for each of these, okay? So for each of these, convenience goods, shopping goods, specialty goods, unsought goods, right? Which type of distribution? Let's talk about the intensity of the distribution: selective, exclusive, integrated, extensive, like all of those various types that we just discussed. Let's talk about that a little bit, a reflection, quick reflection from the groups, right? So we'll take not more than 5 to 10 minutes. I'll quickly let you talk, and then talk about some Bangladeshi product. I want you to really talk about some Bangladeshi product, or so that you can relate to the local context, so it's easy for you to understand. So you're trying to understand the intensity of the distribution depending on the product. These are different types of product or consumer goods that we have discussed. So based on this, I want you to quickly brainstorm this. Opening up the breakout rooms for 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, roughly. We'll make 6 breakout rooms. So please go to your rooms, assigned rooms, and I'll be assigning randomly. So we'll be asked to join in one of the rooms. So this is probably the last time we're having this sort of exercise, because in the last week may not be having the time, but let's just quickly do a round of brainstorming. So off you go. Well, I mean, you have to join one of the breakout rooms. You've been already invited. So join one of the breakout rooms. Ahad, Shahriar, Ayasha, Taslima, Lamia. You have been invited to join one of the breakout rooms. May I please request you to join the breakout room? Yeah, a few people have not joined the breakout rooms. Are you guys online, active? Lavin, can you hear me? Fahmida, Monica, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. But sir, there is no option. How can I join?
You have already been invited to join, Monica. I will. Yes, you should have received an invitation to join room
Sir,
number 2.
there I didn't get an invitation. Sir, maybe my laptop is not working. I'm gonna join from my mobile.
It should well work from your laptop. That is even easier than your phone. Okay. Can you, I'm moving you to another room and see if that works. Okay, so I'm moving you to room number 3. You should get an invitation now as I'm just moving you now. Did you get it?
No, sir.
Maybe
Sir,
you have
I'm joining
minimized-
from my mobile.
Maybe you have just minimized your thing, so that's why.
Sir, I'm already in a group. This is just from the laptop. I'm discussing from mobile.
Oh,
Sir,
okay.
sir, I could join from my mobile. Thank you, sir.
Okay, all right. Ahad, can you just turn this one off, like not have to?
Okay, sir.
Yeah, thanks.